What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the program. Day 7 of 49ers training camp is in the books. We had a bit of a different type of practice today. Yesterday, very eventful. Like I said, a practice that went pretty long, over 2 hours or so. And it involved a lot of scrimmage sessions. They were probably out there doing team drills for over an hour. Today, a little bit more on the mellow side. You had a couple of guys who didn't go, either a couple of guys who were participating in not fully participating. Um, they were in there for some time, weren't in there for some time, some rest here and there. But still, I thought it was a good day of practice, specifically because the 49ers had a red zone period at the end. And so there's a lot to uncover here for this first practice. Let's break it down. I'm going to give you my thoughts: offense, defense, red zone, what kind of stood out. And we're going to go from there, and I'll answer any questions, we'll get into it, definitely. So let's start off kind of with, I guess we'll start off with I'll break it down into three periods: the first team period, second team period, and then obviously the red zone period. And so the first team period I felt was defense dominated. And it wasn't necessarily a negative day for the offense in the sense there weren't any interceptions, weren't turnovers. That's different, right? Monday, Tuesday, you heard about the three interceptions from Brock Purdy. Yesterday, there was a five interception day. 2 days ago was three interceptions, five yesterday. Again, they all come with context, and so it's important to kind of note how those interceptions and just how the play overall in the day transpired. And that's what these videos are here for. But today, it was a bit of a different kind of vibe because there were a lot more sacks. Aaron Banks did not practice today. He was out there but didn't practice. So it was Ben Barch and Nick Zakel rotating in at left guard with the first team offense. They both got ample snaps at both guard and center. And so, there was a bit of a rotation there for the 49ers alongside the top unit. Jake Brendel was in there at center, Dominic Puny at right guard, and then obviously Jalen Moore and Colton McKivitz over there at the tackle spots. And so, it was a bit of a different feel for the offense. And as a result, the defensive line was able to get pressure, or Nick Sorensen was able to dial up blitzes to get pressure. And there were a lot of sacks in the initial period. The 11 on 11 period started with a drop, actually, from Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall worked on the right side of the field against Charvarius Ward on this play, and it was a play action throw from Brock Purdy. And Ricky Pearsall actually just, it was a good route. He got a good amount of separation and just dropped the pass. It was just an unfortunate moment for Pearsall, but that was the lone negative really on the day for Pearsall. We'll get into more a little bit later. There were a couple of runs, a kind of a run heavy day to start. With on the next play set of plays, Brandon Allen had a couple of passes, completed one to Trent Taylor on a slant. The next one was to Tariq Owens on play action, middle of the field. He was open. Tariq Owens dropped the football. So not the best start necessarily for the offense. When it went back to the first team, though, that's where the sacks started. It started with that position I was talking about, left guard. Ben Barch in there. Zakel got the first reps. Ben Barch was in there with, second with the first team offense, and he got beaten. Jordan Elliott beat him pretty easily, got a sack on the play, and that killed Brock Purdy's lone drop back of the day. With the number twos, Zakel was in there, and Zakel got beat. That forced a run stuff. I believe Jalen Graham ultimately got the run stuff on this one on Elijah Mitchell, but the play was just broken up just because offensive line beat at the line of scrimmage. It rotated then back to the ones. Brock Purdy got three dropbacks. One was a short pass to Kyle Juszczyk, solid. One was a really good throw. This one was to Malik Turner. Chris Conley. Not necessarily a deep pass by any means, but the pocket was collapsing again. Kevin Givens in there with the number one defense in a D tackle. He beat Nick Zakel, got the pressure, near sack. Brock Purdy got the ball off, completed it to Chris Conley. But fortune wasn't great because on the very next play, Malik Collins gets a pressure, beats Jake Brendel, records a sack. I thought this one though, pocket collapsed from a lot of directions, but ultimately Collins was the guy who could get there first. He ended up getting the sack, and that was, an unfortunate way for Brock Purdy to end his series of plays over there. So as you can tell, the first couple of series, a lot of sacks already, and these aren't covered sacks. A lot of these are normal sacks, which was the unfortunate reality. Um, After a series of plays with the twos, Brandon Allen's in there. He had 4 plays. One was a screen pass. One was an incompletion, kind of a bad ball, a hospital ball type thing in the direction of Cam Latu. Taylor Hawkins laid him out. Ricky Pearsall made a really cool catch on the very next play. This was one, it was an out route. Pearsall got good separation. Well, Pearsall was going to the outside. D. Winters was following him. The ball was behind Pearsall. D. Winters got hands on it, deflected it up in the air. Pearsall somehow comes down with the catch as he's going down. That was a really cool catch, probably one of the best ones of the day, but not a great throw from Brandon Allen. And then on the final drop back, he got sacked. Left guard, don't have the number on me, number 69, I believe it was one, I think it's Brieson Mays, one of the undrafted rookies. I believe Brieson Mays, he was working in at left guard, and he gave up the pressure. Brandon Parker on the right tackle was also there, gave up the pressure, and ultimately Brandon Allen got sacked. With the third team, it was Josh Dobbs. His first play, sack. His second play, blitz, sack. And so, as you can tell, a lot of sacks kind of early on that we record. And again, these sacks, it's not like they're tackling the quarterback. Maybe they escape, but from the notion of it, it looks like they would have gotten the sack because of where they were with the pressure and things like that. That kind of came, there was one more actually. After Brock Purdy, he had 2 plays. One was a throw, one was a run. The throw was to Ricky Pearsall, a short gain. Then with the twos, Josh Dobbs came in, but Malik Mustafa, he came in on a blitz quick, nearly got a sack. Dobbs ultimately dumped this ball to Cody Schrader. That was the end of the first team period. As you can tell, probably 5, 6, 7 sacks of across 15 to 20 plays, maybe 20, 15 to 20 passing plays. Not the best start for the 49ers offense overall with the offensive line. Again, these sacks were distributed between the first, second, and third team. So it was evened out, but not necessarily the best start. However, the things kind of turned around after that. You talk about the second group of team drills. I thought the offense kind of turned things around, got a little bit more success. Brock Purdy, his first set of plays, he hit Chris Conley, a good ball. There was a blitz coming from a stunt on the inside. So, pocket collapsing in the middle. Purdy delivered a good ball, though, to Chris Conley. You end up getting a completion there. Then on the very next play, this one was one of the biggest plays of the day. Purdy found Ronnie Bell. He was along the right seam, traveling towards the sideline. Charvarius Ward was the guy in coverage, and Purdy put this ball to where really only Ronnie Bell could get it. It was a high pointed ball. Conley comes up with the catch, and he's able to secure it as he goes down. A really nice play from Ronnie Bell, and this was about a 15-yard play or so fairly deep, intermediate range, and it was a good ball overall from Brock Purdy. That led to a nice catch there from Ronnie Bell. However, final play of that drive, Brock Purdy, he gets sacked. This one was clearly on the offensive line. Of course, Forster did not look happy after that play. Not exactly sure who initially got beat on that one. So, it was kind of a collective issue on the offensive line. That one, though, was another sack. Later on, though, you do see the offense kind of, pick things up with the number 2s. Brandon Allen had a screen pass, a little dump off. That ended up in a tackle for loss. A great play from Jalen Graham. There was a good run from Elijah Mitchell. He then hit Eric Sobera on an out route. And then one of the better plays, the 49ers run this play action play. It's the same one Trey Lance hit Deebo Samuel in the Houston Texans game. The one where they roll out to the right off play action and then hit the deep crosser coming across the field to the left. Well, Brandon Allen hit that throw for about 25 to 30 yards, rolling right off of play action. He had a deep crosser to Malik Collins towards the left sideline. A nice throw, a good catch, and a good way to end that series. After that, though, really not too many sacks. Brock Purdy, one of the things after that we kind of saw that we've seen now a couple of times in practice, a lot of covered sacks. and that was something that was intriguing. He's holding on to the ball a little bit, and that tells me a couple of things. One, it's practice. He's not going to throw the football away. And also it kind of leads to when he gets sacked, you have the freedom to kind of throw the ball in any direction, and that might lead to a couple of more riskier decisions. But two, receivers aren't separating really as much as you'd like them to because Purdy's going through his progressions and he can't find open people before the pressure comes. And that's not a good sign. If receivers aren't able to separate and Purdy doesn't want to put the ball in harm's way, he's taken that sack. And that's the unfortunate part where it's half quarterback related, half receiver related, and things like that. But you do want that ball out sooner than later. That's the big issue because you don't want inconsistencies where you're not being able to get the ball out and you get impacted as a result. All right. Let me talk about some of the other things, that I saw overall. We got to go with the red zone, though, first. And as I get there, I want to give a shout out to the comments. 49ers Throwback, as always, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you drop your questions in the chat. Always going to be free to answer them. How is Ricky Pearsall? We will get to him and a couple of the other young guys in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the red zone period because the 49ers ended their practice with a red zone period, and it was a lot different than the one on Monday. If you watched Monday's live stream, you would remember 49ers struggled in the red zone. The offense couldn't move the ball. There were a couple of just broken up drives, really, where the 49ers struggled to get touchdowns in the red zone and struggled to really have success. The defense clearly won that practice or that period of practice there back on Monday. On Wednesday, though, it was a bit of a different story. Brock Purdy in the first team offense, they started with the football. He hit Deebo Samuel on a slant. This one was a near touchdown. It got to the 1 yard line. Samuel was ruled down. Maybe he pushes through, for a touchdown, though, with in a real life situation where he's as physical as he is. But a good start to the drill for the 49ers. After a run was stuffed, a Jordan Mason run that was, Brock Purdy, this was one of his best throws of the day. He hit Ricky Pearsall for a touchdown. Pearsall was working against Isaac Yiadom. He was able to beat Isaac Yiadom, and it was like a kind of like a skinny post going towards the middle of the field. Jair Brown, though, had seen that Pearsall had broken free from Yiadom. He's going there, which caused Purdy to make a layered throw in the end zone. Pretty difficult, but he hits Pearsall in stride. A good throw, great route, great pass, touchdown. Pearsall's getting a little more active here. Then, with the twos, Elijah Mitchell started it with a really good run, around 8 yards or so, just up the middle, just shot the gap. I don't know how many yards he got before contact, but again, another explosive run for Elijah Mitchell. Then came another touchdown. Brandon Allen hit Ronnie Bell with a great catch. It was in a lot of traffic. Allen rolled to his right after seeing pressure, and then he essentially just threw the ball to Ronnie Bell despite a couple of defenders in the area. Bell comes down with the catch, though, for a touchdown. Later on in the series, Allen, he got an extended amount of run, a couple of plays. He tried to fit one into Chris Conley. Rocky Yassin was all over that in the red zone, incomplete. He then threw a touch pass, really, in the flat over the shoulder to Jake Tonjes, the tight end. That one was a good route, that one was a good play, and it allowed, that was the way the 49ers ended the drive. A good solid play. So far you're seeing some of the success for the for the offense in the red zone after the defense kind of had the advantage in the non-red zone periods. Brock Purdy came back, or Josh Dobbs, he got two plays. One was a Cody Schrader run. That was a solid run. And then another was a ball intended for Cam Latu, but this ball was well behind. Tatum Bethune was the one who ended up breaking up the pass, kind of making it an incomplete pass. The accuracy kind of had to be there on that throw. It wasn't. That led to an incompletion. When Brock Purdy returned to the field, his first play was a coverage sack. More on him. Could have gotten the ball out sooner. Again, that's not necessarily what these practices are defined for, but he followed it up with one of his better decisions, just a quick timing throw, a quick fire, quick release to George Kittle on the just running a simple out route for a touchdown. This one was a good ball. Purdy obviously showed, a majority of his talent there, the good timing and everything like that to make sure that ball went smooth. Clearly did. Touchdown there for George Kittle. obviously getting the ball from Brock Purdy. With the twos, Patrick Taylor, he got a rushing touchdown. And then one of the last plays of the day was actually going to be another touchdown. Josh Dobbs got some reps with the twos here. He ultimately rolled to his left, face pressure. He rolls to his left, and he actually fired a really good ball in the back corner of the end zone to Deebo Samuel. Daryl Luter was in coverage here with the second team defense, but Samuel had a step. He had two hands on the ball. He just couldn't corral it in bounds. Clearly was frustrated afterwards, but he couldn't corral it in bounds, and that was an unfortunate incompletion. Ultimately, though, a very successful red zone period for the 49ers. That's the good part about it. And they're kind of, they're doing a little bit. Question here from my guy, Clutch Gene Spots. Can you explain the new look designed pressure blitz packages? The 49ers have actually been, going through a couple of these blitz packages. And this is a lot, a very good question because how is the defense going to change with Nick Sorensen there rather than a guy like Steve Wilkes? And one thing we've seen is the nickel blitz package. I thought the nickel blitz package was out there a couple of times. I believe Chase Lucas had a blitz. Deommodore Lenoir was sent yesterday. There you've seen a couple of these nickel blitzes where they're sending an extra guy or they're dropping a different guy into coverage to throw a different look. We have seen the 49ers practicing dropping a defensive end back, Sam Okuanu. I really apologize, probably mispronounced the name. We saw him drop back a couple of times. Yetur Gross-Matos, he dropped back into coverage a couple of times at the end. So there was, you're throwing out a couple of different looks. The 49ers also ran a number of stunts today. You had stunts, but the regular stunts between the interior defensive linemen. And so that allowed for some misdirection. 49ers didn't pick one of them up. That led to a sack. And, those ones are kind of what you would expect where you've got one guy shooting from the A gap to the B gap, maybe, and vice versa, and things like that. And so that's something that, I'm intrigued to see. How does it all mesh together? But there were some blitzes that I thought also were a little bit ill-advised. There was one blitz early on where the offensive line did a good job. They picked it up, and Purdy did a good job recognizing it. He threw for an intermediate pass over the middle. But still, the 49ers are working through it, and definitely some of the blitzes got home. There was a safety blitz also right off the edge that worked twice. One came from the left side. One came from the right side. Malik Mustafa was in on one. That led to the 49ers just forcing a dump down, and that was a tackle for loss. The other one was a sack. And so you're seeing a lot of these different pressure packages that the 49ers are throwing, in addition to them just rushing four linemen or something like that. Today was more of an install day. We'll see how those continue kind of throughout the rest of camp. How's Brock Purdy look today, and what are your thoughts of him being ranked top 28 on the NFL top 100 player list? Thought Brock Purdy looked good. I thought he looked pretty good. As I mentioned, the one maybe gripe of him today was the fact that he had a couple of coverage sacks, probably 3, maybe 4 on the day, and they all majority came through the second team period and in the red zone, kind of in that portion. Purdy, as I said, is holding on to the ball a little too long. And that's kind of been a bit of an issue where I don't know if it's Purdy related fully or if it's also receiver related where they're just not getting open, because I think that's also a very valid reason. But overall, I think Purdy has looked good today. He looked pretty, he's had a couple of sharp days in this camp as well as a couple of days where he probably want to take a couple of things back. Thought he looked good today. As for being ranked in the top 28, they value quarterback high. The only thing is he's only had kind of a year and a half of experience underneath him. But then again, you have, I believe Jordan Love was in the 40s, the 40, somewhere between 40 and 45. And so you've got a lot of these younger quarterbacks who might not be as proven, who their NFL peers respect them. Remember, the top 100 list for the NFL is made by players, or at least a majority of the vote constitutes of players. And so that's kind of their thinking on Brock Purdy, that he's a top 28 guy. We'll see. I think that you're going to have a better understanding of where he stands after this year. All right. One last comment. Leon says, Conley is underrated, still one of the best blocking receivers, prides himself with the blocking and still really athletic. I actually really like Chris Conley. It's just as a player, you're right. He fits the 49ers mold because he's willing to block. He's also really fast, despite being at his age. His size profile, size and speed profile, it's solid. And there's a reason that the 49ers liked him last year and a reason why he could make this team this year. We'll see ultimately if that ends up being the case, because I initially projected that they would only carry five wide receivers on this team. But we'll see. We'll see, because Chris Conley and a couple of guys are making it a little hard. Make sure you guys hit the like button, though. Subscribe as well to the channel. We are doing this every day at training camp. I'm going to be there pretty much every day except for 2. So make sure you guys subscribe, and I appreciate all the support so far. Talking about the red zone, though, 49ers saw a lot more success than Monday in the red zone. A couple of good things and a couple of things that they still need to work on ultimately for the period. I want to give an update, though, on some of the younger guys. That's something that, I thought really stood out today. Like I said earlier, a lot of players maybe didn't practice in full or didn't practice at all today. You look at receiver, no Jawan Jennings, no Danny Gray. You look at linebacker, obviously no Dre Greenlaw. You look at defensive tackle, no Javon Hargrave. And then the guys who you might expect to play maybe didn't play as much. And that allowed a lot of young guys to get more opportunity. With a couple of the receivers out, Ricky Pearsall, he got a solid amount of number 1 opportunities. And I got to say, Ricky Pearsall's initial reaction, he looks good. He does look good. He has obviously good separation skills, good route running skills against man coverage, and good route running skills in general. Zone coverage as well as is there as well. A little bit more off ball today than you might expect just in general. But I thought Ricky Pearsall had a good day. I thought he's a guy who it seems like could potentially contribute sooner than later. I'll see ultimately how Ricky Pearsall kind of grows at this stage, but I was impressed from what I saw here, because today was the day where he kind of fully was integrated into the offense. Yesterday, he got his first pass. Monday, he returned to pads. No team drills on Monday. Yesterday, though, it seemed like he was being pulled after one play in there, and so I wasn't sure how much opportunity he'd get. Today, though, blocking opportunity was there. Receiving opportunity was there. He caught a couple of passes. He was able to kind of make his impact felt, good separation skills, and has the chance to be, the quarterback's best friend, or just a reliable option, be it now or even in 2025. I mentioned his name once with a catch. Ronnie Bell, I thought, was another guy who did really solid, had that really cool catch ultimately. And he has struggled maybe a little bit during training camp, in the sense that he hasn't flashed or broken out as much. He's had a drop. He's had the issue, with some of the punt return kind of muff situations as well. But Ronnie Bell had a really good day today. Touchdown pass he caught. He caught the solid other pass as well that I had mentioned over Charvarius Ward from Brock Purdy. And so when you're able to accumulate, multiple catches like that, you're in a good spot. Ronnie Bell, congrats to him. Some of the other guys, I thought both linebackers, second-year linebackers, look good. Jalen Graham, D. Winters, both of them made plays. Both of them kind of really start to move really well sideline to sideline or downhill. Winters, he was a guy who made a couple of plays. He had a really nice run stuff. He just shot the gap, or he really just shot the outside, beat the block there. Probably a 4-yard loss on the play for Jordan Mason, but he came out of nowhere, just shot straight through, was able to react well and make a play. And then some of the other guys, Jalen Graham was the other linebacker. I thought he looked good as well, had a good one-on-one rep, physical against Juice. And that was that was an interesting situation where you have them two going at it. Good hand fighting from Jalen Graham. It was physical, but not enough to warrant a penalty. Juice couldn't get much separation, and so Jalen Graham was ultimately able to win that rep. It was an errant throw from the quarterback, and that one was solid overall. Winters also had a really nice play in coverage. This one, though, was in 11-on-11s against Pearsall. He was able to deflect the ball, tip it up. It's just Pearsall somehow found a way to catch it, and so that one kind of took away from that. But Graham, Winters, they're both looking solid. I think they both move well in the run game, sideline to sideline. They're triggering fast. Graham, he's in that Mike role, right? So he has a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more of a developmental curve. But ultimately, I think that that was a good sign. Between Winters and Graham, who's looking better in coverage, maybe Winters. I think he's a little quicker. And at least today, he looked better in coverage. But I do think they're also primed to play different roles. At least that's how it's been in 49ers training camp so far. And so that's kind of been the vibe. I like what I've seen from both. We'll see if they can push for a bigger role because Devondre Campbell has kind of been there. He's been the glue so far with the first team defense. And then DFF has taken some of those other reps as well in the base package. Other young players that I thought, might have performed or had something to do. Cameron Latu. Cameron Latu is an interesting case. I don't know what to think about Cameron Latu still at the moment. Because he just doesn't move that well. He doesn't move very athletically. His hands are somewhat questionable in terms of the hand-eye coordination today. There was one pass where he was working in one-on-ones against Taylor Hawkins. He had cut inside, but felt like he wasn't expecting the ball. The ball hit him in the helmet, ultimately fell incomplete. Could have been a nice play there. But Latu right now, I think he's fine as a blocker, but ultimately he needs to start proving something because it is a crucial time for him, and he doesn't have that athletic profile to fit him. So he's got to become a better route runner, and he's got to find a way to make an impact as well in the passing game. And so, there have been some moments for Latu. We'll see how he can finish out this training camp and go into the preseason. Any other guys on my mind? I don't think so for the young guys. I think that's kind of mainly what I wanted to talk about. Talked a good amount about one-on-ones. Talked a little bit about the offensive line rotation. Let's see, and let's get into some of my kind of final thoughts here as we talk about training camp. Like I said, sacks kind of started the day overall. Offense, they responded, evened out in the second team drill session, did well in the red zone. That was kind of the main kind of takeaways over there. With the offensive line, I do want to say another good day for Dominic Puny. I thought that was the case once again. It seems like he's settling in. At right guard, it seems like he's settling in, which is a good sign for the 49ers. I think they want some stability there. Puny is obviously taking advantage of the opportunity that Spencer Burford, because he got injured. He broke the right hand. It's unclear when he can kind of come back in terms of make a full recovery and make an impact on the field again. But Puny right now is taking a lot of right guard snaps. Still no John Feliciano. He is working with the knee issue. Unclear how far he'll be out. But Puny, I'm impressed. Just got to wait and see for a couple of the other guys on the offensive line. There are a couple of the young guys though that are doing well in terms of the rookies. Puny is one of them. Renardo Green continues to mainly run with the second team over there at in the nickel. If Travarius Ward doesn't play, Green gets in there with the first team, but usually Ward's out there. And so Green kind of works with the second team, had one series, I believe, today with the first team. And so that's another thing. We'll see ultimately how it goes. I thought their off day was Friday. No, their off day is tomorrow. They have practice Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so, I believe off day tomorrow, practice throughout the whole weekend. But those are the main takeaways that I've kind of had from today. Again, a bit of a lighter day, not as many things to talk about overall, but still a productive practice, good red zone session. Purdy looked better today. I think that there's still a good amount to talk about, with how this ultimately went. If you guys have questions, be sure to hit me up here on my next live stream or on Twitter. But this one was a fun one, got to break it down. A lot of guys next to me giving me good insight as well. And so that is probably going to be doing it for me today. Nice 30-minute stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we are going to be back Friday. But before that, I'll be back on Ryan Hensley's show tomorrow morning at 9:30. If you guys want, be sure to tune in. You'll hear some of my extra thoughts about training camp as I kind of mull it over today. And then we'll be back on Friday with day 8 of training camp. Thank you guys so much, though. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.